Humans of the cardboard, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. We are moving forward, Age of Overlord. We have one brand new card revealed early this morning. I hope this is the beginning of them going hard in here. We've got like 46 or 45 new cards left in the next, I think like 17 days. So a lot of stuff coming very quickly. But this is a cool one. This is actually a new fusion for the Chimera archetype. The Phantom Beast, the Gazelle, the King of Mythical Beasts, and Baphomet. And then obviously their classic Chimera fusion guy. This is a new one for them. He's pretty good. I read him this morning, and we're going to get a little more in depth on some of the stuff he can do. So let's get into it. This is this is Baphomet, the Phantom Beast Dark Ruler. So this is just a fusion, bigger boy version of Baphomet, the main deck monster, which is quite cool. He is a level 6 Wind Fiend fusion effect monster. Weird combination of type and attribute there, but we'll take it. 24/6 for the stats. And it takes any two monsters with different types as long as those two different types are Beast, Fiend, and Illusion. But the engine kind of sets that up pretty easily, so I don't think that's a huge deal. Okay, you can only use the second and third effect of this card once per turn. The first effect reads that this card's name becomes Chimera, the Flying Mythical Beast, while it's on field or in grave, but is also still traded as a Phantom Beast card. So it's a Phantom Beast plus Chimera at the same time. It's cool. This is the classic Harpy Lady Cyber Dragon thing, where you have multiple monsters that count as the one monster that makes other effects live in the archetype, so that's fine. Second effect, this is the real effect. When this card, or if this card is fusion summoned, you can send one Beast, Fiend, or Illusion monster from your deck to the graveyard. Very nice. Third effect, during your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard to target one of your banished Beast, Fiend, or Illusion monsters, except for Baphomet himself. Special summon it. Very solid, to be honest. It's a Foolish Burial for 3 specific monster types in the game. Beasts have a couple targets that you can send. Fiends are pretty dark oriented, and so they have a lot of graveyard effects. There actually are a handful of good sendable Fiends. And Illusion's a little bit new, so it's definitely one to keep an eye on as we get more Illusion cards revealed going forward, but not a ton of targets right now. We'll talk about, I think, 8 different targets that I just did a quick skim through of like all the Beast, Fiends, and Illusions that could work with this, and I found a couple that are pretty interesting already. We'll get to those in a second. And then as far as that third effect, pretty good as well. Being able to quick effect banish this card from grave. I love that it's not like field or anything. So you can, this is like a really good fusion climbing card. You would make this guy, get a free Foolish Burial for some kind of bonus. Could be a search, could be an extra interruption, whatever. Then you use him as fusion material to get another bigger, better fusion that's going to give you hopefully more interaction. And then from grave, he also offers you either more follow-up or maybe potentially even another way to interrupt your opponent after that. Very, very cool. I think this is a good card in and of itself. It's a great fusion climbing card. You're just getting a ton of value just by using this guy as you're continuing to keep getting into your bigger, better boss monsters. It's very cool. I think he's good. I think this is just a downright good card. Now, going to look at some of the targets here that I think are the most interesting. I have to mention Absolute King Backjack. This one doesn't have the most perfect synergy with the Chimera engine. Like, they don't play many trap cards, so like that doesn't work that well with him. But I was thinking that like technically the engine does connect you now to like a Fiend engine. So if you are playing it with a trap version, maybe like a Labyrinth type version, because it can potentially connect you to that. You may have a handful of traps in there. Absolute King Backjack can still find those, or maybe he can find a Fiend that gives you value that you could dump on the opponent's turn as well. This was a pretty decent one, I think, in a build like that. Next up, you have Archfiend Eris. Kind of same idea, because if this card's sent to the graveyard by card effect, you can add an Archfiend card. There's actually the new card, Simul Archfiends. It's almost like a worse D-barrier type card. But it's still decent and pretty powerful in like against archetypes that are like pretty hard focused on one type of extra deck monster, and still hits links as well. So that's cool. That could definitely be like a quick little tech in, and the trap's not even that much of a brick. If you draw it, you just set it. But this card makes that engine get you access to it, which is kind of cool. Then you have their in-archetype stuff. I didn't do these in any particular order. This card says if your opponent targets any card you control with a card effect and you control Chimera, keep in mind your fusions count as Chimera. Pretty much all of them do. This guy can banish himself to negate. Not only is he a protection effect that protecting from targeting, but the important thing is he banishes himself to do it. So now, not only can you do that, but then you can use your Baphomet, the new Baphomet, and quick effect to banish himself on the opponent's turn to get this guy back, giving you more follow-up going into the next turn, which is kind of cool. Same thing here with Mirror Swordsman, right? He is just a straight-up monster negate from grave if you control Chimera, I believe. And so, same thing, banishes himself as cost, so he gets banished, and then you're able to just reborn him, and he's also a Lone Fire Blossom for the deck as well. So then you're able to Lone Fire on your next turn. So it gets you follow-up inherently by just getting this guy sent, plus they're both... I think this guy... Is this guy Illusion? I think this guy's Illusion, and I think this guy's also Illusion. So I think these guys can just be Foolish Burialed off of Baphomet anyway. So even if you didn't start with them to get to Baphomet, he could still dump like Mirror Swordsman. There's an extra monster negate for your board, and he's your target to summon back off of Baphomet for follow-up on the next turn. Very cool. Skarm's another cool one, especially talking about some of these Fiend-type builds, specifically if we're talking about like the Labyrinth build. You could dump Skarm off of your Baphomet, then Skarm on end phase searches a Labyrinth Chandraglier, and then Chandraglier pitches itself in end phase because it's a quick effect to get a Labyrinth trap set before it, so it'll be live on the opponent's next turn, which is very cool. I think that's some pretty good value. Now, that doesn't guarantee you a banished monster to make sure you're going to get that follow-up off of Baphomet, but it is still an interesting way to look at it. I do think Chimera Labyrinth could be a potential deck, actually, going forward. We'll see. Token Collector's another cool one. We see archetypes and engines here and there. We're talking about Adventure Engine. We're talking about... Sword Soul, two bigger ones that in the last couple of years have been pretty token-related archetypes, and Token Collector saw play in those types of formats. So the fact that you can just summon Baphomet and dump this guy, so that way in that matchup you only have to side one copy of it because your engine's going to get him in rotation, because all you need is one in rotation and you're probably in a good spot. Go from there. It's a pretty cool idea. Tri-Brigade Kit. Get the Tri-Brigade engine online. Why not? If you can just dump Kit, get Nerval, or dump Nerval search you another card, and then you're able to just play from there. That's actually not terrible. I really think that could be a potential lane you could mess around with. Maybe Chimera Tri-Brigade is a future thing. I don't know. Definitely cool though. And then lastly, the last one here is the new Unchained guy. He's the only Unchained monster that triggers when he's just generically sent to grave, and he's a beast, so you can just Foolish him. He could set you any Unchained spell or trap, and then go from there. I don't know if the synergy is quite as good on this one, but it was a pretty good new card that I thought had a little bit of synergy there, so I thought that was worth mentioning. But yeah, those are the coolest targets to me. There are definitely some other ones, so feel free to let me know. Let everybody know down in the comments if there's any other targets that you think are worth noting at all. If there's anything that you thought had definitely worthwhile noting synergy, I'd love to hear your thoughts down below on that. And also just in general, I've not messed around a ton with the new Chimera cards anyway, so I want to hear from you guys regardless how well this card actually fits in with that archetype. Is it going to be worth it? Is it not? Does it force you down different lanes you may not want to go for? I want to know your guys' thoughts on this card in general, and yeah, very cool. This is a cool one card, and obviously we have a ton more coming, so hopefully those keep spraying out. I will bring you any news on any of those new cards as they come, but thank you so much for watching. As always, subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date on all things Yu-Gi-Oh! News, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.